because I affect people's lives that come before me, and I gotta make sure I do it right. Not because you're watching me, but because God is watching me. Ultimately, I gotta make sure I'm doing what God tells me to do. I gotta treat people right. And so that's something that I think if each of us start within our own selves and hold ourselves accountable, then I think it'll spread like a virus and it'll branch out.
My call to action, vote. There is a primary runoff. Make sure you vote. Make sure you stay engaged. Make sure you stay active. A few years ago, I had a conversation with an officer, and he actually asked me if I had my phone on, and I said no. What he told me was, most of the time they were sent out to calls, they were called to escalate a situation, not to de-escalate. And I think it's important for people to understand, on the ballot, we've got sheriff, we've got DA. You need to make sure you get people that who's going to perform the service to us, for us, in a way that we are going to be protected by our police force that we pay, and not to be, agitators. So for me, at the end of the day, the most important crust of this society, of this country, is your power of the vote. And so I encourage everyone, if you're not registered to vote, register. And if you, once you get registered, that's not enough, vote. V-O-T-E, like your life depends on it.
I would say absolutely vote. I don't want to leave that out as well, but speak truth to power. Stand where you are and speak up. I challenge each person in this room to have one tough conversation with someone that doesn't look like you.
That's right.
Within this year 2020. Because until you have that conversation, we're not going to move anywhere, right? Because we get stuck in our place where we just want to talk about what we want to talk about. And a lot of times we're preaching to the choir, okay? So if we're not having a conversation with someone else that is an adversary in our mind, then how are we going to be able to move forward? And to that point, speak truth when you're having that conversation. So I challenge you to do that.
I challenge you to not only have all of the tough conversations that you have to have with people, but have them with yourself. A lot of times I believe when it comes to us, especially as black folks, we've pathologized all of the ills of our community. We've decided that it was our fault that police officer stopped us. It was our fault that the first time you experienced racism, it came from a teacher. It was our fault that all of these other things that have happened to us have happened. And it's not. It's not. It is not. Now, it may be our fault that we haven't raised enough cane. It may be our fault that we haven't written all the letters that we need to write, that we haven't necessarily went into the spaces that we need to go to. But it's not our fault for the condition that Black America finds itself in. It is our responsibility to our children, to those who came before us, and those who will come after us to fight this system of white supremacy and replace it with the system of justice.
That's right.
The opposite of white supremacy is justice. And wherever you find white supremacy, you will find injustice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important for us to understand white supremacy, understand that it's not hate, it's dominance. We like to describe it as hate. We like to say it's hate, so we got to deal with people's hearts and minds. No, we don't. It is dominance. It is dominance in every area of activity. That's education, entertainment, economics, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. It dominates how we can wear our hair. It dominates what we can wear to work. It dominates when we can vote, how our districts are redrawn. It dominates. It dominates all of it. And there is no room for it in this country, nor is there any room for it in this county. And you, as an individual, have to say that you're not going to take it for another minute. You have to say that accountability comes before anything. If you're not going to hold these people accountable for these actions against our community, they got to go. And I encourage you to reach out to your elected officials. I encourage you to join an advocacy organization. I encourage you to read. Here goes a book note, guys. From Here to Equality. If you haven't read that book, it is by Professor Dr. William Darity of Duke University. It's From Here to Equality, Reparations in the 21st Century. So you can really understand not only the plight of Black Americans who descend from slavery, but what's going to be needed for the full repair.
Panelists, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.